quality title race of all time, but coming out on top again in the Premier League, Manchester City.
Hello guys, how are you getting on? My name is Aaron Kelly. You're very welcome back to another episode of the Premier League Verdict here today. We're going to be talking about Chelsea in greater detail in a while, but first we're going to have a little roundup of the rest of the games that happened on week 11 of the Premier League. So starting off at Goodison Park, and the horrendous injury to Andre Gomes overshadowing it was a pretty decent game between Tottenham and Everton. Tottenham took the lead through Dele Alli, but then a Heung-min Son tackle led to an awkward landing for Andre Gomes. He broke his leg, and the scenes at Goodison Park were just horrific, and I think it was very reminiscent of the time Eduardo broke his leg playing for Arsenal way back now, a couple of years ago at this stage. Players crying, players, opposition players comforting Andre Gomes, obviously the Everton players comforting Andre Gomes, opposition players trying to comfort Heung-min Son, who had committed the tackle, and we all know Heung-min Son is not a nasty player at all. He's actually one of the nicest players in football, and for this to happen to someone like him, it's absolutely horrible, and he's gonna obviously have to live with that. Obviously, wishing Andre Gomes a speedy recovery. We all know these kind of injuries can end careers, and an Everton teammate of Gomes, Seamus Coleman, went through a similar kind of injury when he got a horrendous leg break against Wales playing for Ireland, for a tackle from Neil Taylor it was at the time, which kept Coleman out for a long time, but luckily he has come back to close enough to the peak of his power. So let's hope Andre Gomes, the same happens for him. But yeah, it was a 97th minute equaliser. Obviously there was so much stoppage time because of the horrific injury to Andre Gomes that led to Everton's equaliser. Cenk Tosun it was that got it, and stoppage time went on until I think it was 90 plus 11, 90 plus 12. But Everton got the point in the end, and Spurs' winless streak goes on. But without a doubt, the result pretty much became irrelevant for everyone in the stadium after the horrendous injury for Andre Gomes. So once again, I've said it already, I'll say it again. Speedy recovery for Andre Gomes. Hopefully he gets back to close enough to the peak of his powers, and he gets back as soon as possible. We're going to move on to the top two now, and both the top two, Liverpool and Manchester City, had quite the scare this weekend, I think it's fair to say. Manchester City fell behind at the Etihad against Southampton through a goal from James Ward-Prowse, and Liverpool were behind at Villa Park against Aston Villa thanks to a goal from Trezeguet. And it was the second half when Manchester City equalised in their game through Sergio Aguero, and then it was a weird goal scorer really. You don't see him get too many. Kyle Walker it was who got the goal, and a vital goal to give Manchester City the win. There was a time when Liverpool were losing and Manchester City were winning, and a big period of the games at 3 o'clock on Saturday that you kind of thought, if things had continued on that way, Manchester City would be going to Liverpool with 3 points to make up and a chance to level it at the top of the table. But as Liverpool have been for a lot of this season, they rarely ever, actually in fact they never know when they are bet. Sadio Mane equalised for them before Andy Robertson, another strange goal scorer, gave Liverpool a massive 3 points to keep their gap at 6 at the top of the Premier League. In other news, Man United lost again. I mean, it's just becoming a weekly thing now at this stage. It was this time though that it lost against Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. It was Josh King's goal, and just when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said that Man United were getting into a quote decent run of form after they beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup during the week, there was a lot of hype around Man United's training ground after that particular win, thanks to a brilliant free kick from Marcus Rashford and a penalty after Batshuayi had equalised. But after that game, Solskjaer was convinced that Man United were coming into form, and it's fair to say they're not. I believe, if I look very quickly here, no, my bad, Man United are luckily still 10th, so they have that to hold on to at least. Speaking of teams who are playing absolutely shite at the minute, Arsenal threw away a 1-goal lead. Aubameyang was the man who gave them the lead. Mesut Ozil was back in the starting 11 for them yesterday, but it was a Raul Jimenez goal for Wolves which gained them a point, and because of that, Chelsea had the chance yesterday evening to really put a stamp down on things and gain a real tight hold on the top 4. Before that though, we're going to talk about Leicester. and they're absolutely flying at the minute. They picked up a 2-0 win over Crystal Palace today. Soyuncu got the first one. He's proven to be an absolutely incredible signing, and perhaps even better than Harry Maguire ever was for them. So, you know, Brendan Rodgers has to have a huge amount of praise for that. At the minute, I would look at them saying they're favourites for top 4. I would put them ahead of Man United, Tottenham, and even Arsenal at the minute. I would have Leicester down for top 4 at the minute because they're absolutely flying and have incredible players. An incredible front 4, like that 3 behind Vardy. If you're looking at Maddison, Perez, you know, Harvey Barnes, they're just an unbelievable team. They have great players to come off the bench as well, in the likes of Damari Gray, Kelechi Iheanacho at times. They brought on even Wes Morgan today, who hasn't played an awful lot of football since Harry Maguire came in. He kind of had a bit of a dip in form, and even when Soyuncu came in, he still isn't getting on. He's getting on a bit in age, in fairness as well, Wes Morgan. But he came on today, and he did a fantastic job. You have fellas like Mark Albrighton, who was that very important and valuable Premier League winning experience in his Arsenal, and obviously the rest of the players that won the Premier League back in 2016 as well. Jamie Vardy seems to have a new lease of life under Brendan Rodgers, and particularly with these young players around him, he seems to be getting even more goals than he has been since Leicester's title-winning season. He's the top scorer in the Premier League now with 10 goals in the first 11 games, which is an incredible record. And yeah, Leicester are just absolutely quality, man. Like Wilfred and Ndidi in the midfield as well. It's kind of similar to the way Chelsea are at the minute. A nice mixture there of youth and experience. And Brendan Rodgers is still a relatively young manager, and he's inherited a really, really good Leicester team. And how good has Yuri Tielemans been since he's come in? For me, Leicester are just an absolutely quality team, and for me, at the minute, favourites for top 4. I'm saying it now. I would not have said it at the start of the season. In fact, I didn't say it at the start of the season, but I'm definitely saying it now. Right, boys, rounding off this verdict, we're going to talk about Chelsea, and it is 7 consecutive away wins for Frank Lampard's men, bouncing back from a Carabao Cup defeat against Manchester United during the week. A 2-1 win over Watford at Vicarage Road. Watford obviously still without a win in the Premier League this season. So we were very much favourites going into this game, and the golfing class was there to see from early on. Chelsea looked very dominant in possession. Jorginho and Kovacic were absolutely brilliant yesterday, but it was a goal in the 50th minute which really got it nailed on straight away, and what a goal it was. Jorginho with, I quote from Alan Smith, the pass of the season so far, and I'm yet to see a contender for that. It was an absolutely ridiculous, Fabregas-esque pass, if you will, to find Tammy Abraham, who stayed onside past Cavacele and lifted it over Ben Foster into the Watford net, and that after just 5 minutes. And to be honest, at half time Chelsea should have been 2 or 3 goals up. Ben Foster was in ridiculous form, not only in the first half but the whole game in general, and he had an possibly even bigger event which could have happened towards the end of the game, but we'll get onto that in a minute. He made a brilliant save firstly from Tammy Abraham, and from the corner that followed, a brilliant save from a Pulisic header, and plucked it right out of the top corner. And then, if that wasn't enough, just before half time, tipped a brilliant Mason Mount effort onto the bar, and Chelsea only went in 1-0 up as a result. And only for Ben Foster, this game could have and should have been wrapped up by half time. Some absolutely ridiculous, superhuman saves, if you would, from Ben Foster. But Chelsea were all over Watford in the first half, and Foster's brilliance kept Watford in the game. Moving on to the second half then, and it was an early goal after the first kind of 10-15 minutes which settled Chelsea, and it was the 2-goal cushion we were kind of hoping for, and it was that man, Christian Pulisic, the man of the moment. Hat-trick last week against Burnley, on the score sheet once again yesterday. Tammy Abraham from goal scorer turning provider, and he's been now involved in 11 goals in his first 11 games in the Premier League for Chelsea. What an incredible renaissance this has been for Tammy Abraham. Someone we would not have imagined is going to be able to lead Chelsea's front line, and the man who's going to inherit the number 9 jersey, which has been cursed for so many years. He took it on and he's made it his own, and as we've seen yesterday, and as we've seen throughout all the games, he's not just a goal scorer, he can assist as well. And brilliant from Pulisic as well. I mean, Frank Lampard was the king of arriving late in the box to get on the end of crosses, and I'm sure that's something Frank has said to his wingers, because we've seen it a lot from Willian, particularly in the game against Lille in the Champions League, and from Pulisic now as well since he's come in. Mason Mount has popped up with a lot of goals as well. And yeah, we're getting a lot of goals all around the park now. We're not just relying on one player as we have been for the last couple of years in Eden Hazard. We're getting goals from everywhere now. We're getting goals from Abraham, Pulisic, Mount, Willian. You know what I mean? The only thing I really want to see is a Mateo Kovacic goal. It would be peak, because he, in the last couple of weeks, has absolutely proved me wrong. Going into this season, I would have said Mateo Kovacic is one of those midfielders that goes, yeah, he's bright, you know, he's lively, he's able to dribble with the ball, but when he gets into the final third, he's a little bit all over the place, you know what I mean? He doesn't know how to make them important decisions in the final third. But this season has been completely different. He's not only helping us play out from the back and play through the thirds, but when he gets on the ball, he's able to drive out into midfield with the ball and providing chances for the forward players. And he's been an absolute delight, pinging balls right, left and centre. But like, the biggest thing for me yesterday is when we were under pressure, he can get the ball in midfield, he can get the ball in his defensive third, turn out and drive with it. He's quick enough and he's able to dribble, and he's just looking like an incredible buy at the minute. And I questioned when Chelsea, you know, decided to spend the 40 million. Obviously, Frank would have seen something there from last season. But last season he was a little bit all over the place at times. But this season he has really established himself in this team. And when we're, you know, talking about Chelsea, we're talking about Chelsea midfield, usually N'Golo Kante is the first player that springs to mind. And I'm not saying by any means that we're better off without N'Golo Kante, because we are a far better team when N'Golo Kante is in the team. But Jorginho and Kovacic are more than able to fill in for him when he's not there, and they've been an absolute joy to watch. Jorginho, I give out about this man so much last season, but has he proven me wrong? Absolutely. I can swallow my pride for a couple of seconds and say there's been a lot of Chelsea players who have proven me wrong this season, but them two in particular in the Chelsea midfield, absolutely brilliant. But it was them that was messing around and kind of, you know, got overconfident at times trying to play out from the back, and as a result Watford won a penalty through VAR, and this wasn't a penalty, boys. I'm saying it now, this wasn't a penalty. Now I know I'm going to have comments from people saying, oh, it's just a biased Chelsea fan chatting shit, but Anthony Taylor sees that Jorginho slightly clips Deulofeu in the box after some, you know, just bollocksing around with it in the box. Deulofeu, you know, probably feels the contact, keeps going, realises he's not going to get on the ball, he's not going to get on the end of it, and just throws himself to the ground the wrong way, which he, you know, should have fallen if the trip was actually effective on him. Anthony Taylor doesn't give the foul, he gets the fucking thing in his ear from VAR, and VAR suggests he gives a penalty, which Deulofeu scores. And it made a really nervy ending to the game for Chelsea, and it was a late Ben Foster header from a free kick that was fabulously kept out by Kepa Arrizabalaga that won the 3 points for Chelsea in the end. But it should have been a lot more comfortable than it was, but it was that one VAR decision which probably dicked us over quite a little bit. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think the VAR definitely dicked us over, and yeah, we weren't clinical at times. Ben Foster was superhuman at times, but that game should have been a lot more comfortable than it was. But shout out to Kepa for a fucking outstanding save. You look at your keeper for, you know, 5 or 6 moments a season where he needs to make a big save. You need him in that moment. He's had nothing to do all game, and he pulls out a brilliant save like that. So shout out to Kepa, absolutely quality save. But yes, another 3 points for Chelsea. Long may it continue. I am fucking loving this team at the minute, boys. I am loving it. I'm just hoping, and I don't think it is like this. A lot of people are suggesting that this may be Frank's honeymoon period, and we're going to have like a Man United Solskjaer type scenario where he ends up just being a big fucking fraud. I don't think this is going to happen. I think, you know, Solskjaer hit the ground running with Manchester United straight away. They beat PSG in the Champions League in that night in Paris and all that crap. And we got thumped by Man United 4-0 on the first day. We've been beaten by Liverpool. We've been held by Sheffield United. There has been setbacks already, but Frank has been able to adapt and come back from it. And it's credit to him, credit to Jody Morris, credit to the team at the minute, because they are playing absolutely fucking brilliant. So I'm loving it. If you're a Chelsea fan and you enjoy my content, please do slap a like on this video, and subscribe if you're new, with notifications on, and I will catch you later.
I had the perfect picture, it was all laid out for me, but I feel like I'm in love with the pain, fam, cause it's the same old story, same old questions. What's your body count, who are you linking before me? And I hope she don't ask me back, cause my life like an episode of Maury. I run out of excuses, the truth is I'm so cold, I'm so frozen. Too many times my heart has been